everyone. I'm Jim Masters, and welcome to CUTV News. This is the show where we talk to today's top thinkers from all around the world to bring you information, inspiration, and thought-provoking ideas that you can put to use in your personal or professional life right now. Today, my special guest is Dr. Martha Latz. Dr. Latz is a senior psychotherapist, life and relationship coach, and owner of a unique therapy center, which provides professional therapeutic assistance and life coaching for individuals, couples, and families. Dr. Latz holds a PhD in marriage and family therapy, 2 Masters of Science degrees, one in family medical therapy and a second master's degree in marriage and family therapy, and a Master's of Art in pastoral ministries. She centers her sessions on her listening skills, offering solid communication and attaining balanced solutions. Her effortless approach is about uncovering the solution rather than fixating on the problem. Dr. Latz expertly conducts her therapy on how she can best reach her client more directly, rapidly, and effectively. Early on, when you look at your life and your career, what are some of the things that inspired you along the way to realize that this is what you were meant to do? This is your calling. This is your passion to help others.
People would just gravitate, but they wouldn't come in big groups. They would just come one-on-one. And I thought, this is kind of interesting that would happen. People would say, okay, can I talk to you about something?
Talk to you about something?
Yeah, and it just continued to mushroom into that.
So did it seem as though you were beginning to recognize these skill sets and gifts and talents that you had, or were people gravitating to you and recognizing them in you, or were both things happening simultaneously?
I think in the beginning, I think it was people recognizing.
Coming to you.
Yeah, it was just sort of like natural, they would come and, okay, we'd talk and we'd chit-chat. It began to evolve more. I began to read more and more on my own in high school on psychology of the mind and what was going on there. And I thought, maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. I didn't know that. But I didn't go back to school for the actual degrees until I was much older. So, so there was a lot going on. So if anybody's toying with going back to school at an older age, I'd say go for it, because there's something there, because there's a maturity level that's there.
So then you created this practice with all of the education and sort of building the foundation for the work that you do in this life's journey, a journey you continue to this day, in these pursuits of helping others and helping others heal and be satisfied and fulfilled in their lives. A unique therapy. Tell us about this and what your vision, when you came up with the name, what was the vision for the name and for what you wanted to offer people?
Well, when I started thinking about the uniqueness of people, when people would come to talk to me or my friends or whatever, they were all different. Their stories were not cookie cutter. They had their own strengths and their own weaknesses, their own what they wanted to do with their lives and how they were approaching things. And I thought to myself, it's really you can't put people in just one category. You have to be open to allow them to express themselves. So it's the uniqueness, and it's as I reflected back as I was studying and when I was going to be opening the practice, I thought, they're all unique stories, and they all need to be heard. Not only heard, Jim, but honored. Mm-hmm. Not told that their story is not special. Right. Not told that what they're feeling is not right. Not told that they are not supposed to talk about that. If it's something that's there and it's part of you, you should have the freedom to be able to express it, mm-hmm. and to have it honored. And one of the things that I say to anybody that comes to me on face-to-face is, thank you for inviting me into your life and your journey. I always say some form of that, because it's so unique. And everybody has how they heal differently.
Yeah, it really is true, and you realize that because it can't be really a cookie-cutter approach. You have you know, your certain methodologies, techniques, and the way that you go about things, but you really customize it for the issues and the background and the situations that your clients are really going through, right?
Different people that have come to see me, and they come with their belief system, the belief system that they grew up in, the belief system that they decided, well, I don't want part of that anymore.
Right, doesn't work for me.
Yes, and they're exploring differently, or that they're starting in they started one career and they're changing and switching off to another career, and all of that, everything that they go through, even hard tragedies, big traumas, you know, it's something that's part of their lives. And so if it's part of their lives, then it needs to be honored. Well, if it's part of their lives, then if I would say to somebody that had a really big trauma, I would do some sort of behavioral thing. It's not going to hit them, but being narrative. Tell me your story. Tell me how that affected you. Tell me how did you think to do that at that time? That seems to open a little bit more of a door.
What are some of the kinds of things that people are coming to you for? Is it a cross-section of situations, or are people dealing with depression, anxiety, fear of change, loss, all of the above?
Yes, and yes. Where I orient, no matter what it is, what is the initial contact, I always orient with communication. Because if you're unable to speak about something, you know, you're still trying to communicate something. So communication for me is very key. It's either complete communication, it's either incomplete communication, or they're not verbal about it, or they don't have the words about it. So when they are able to, no matter what it is, I had one young woman that came to me, and she was diagnosed with avoidant personality disorder of some sort. Okay, so she was avoidant.
Avoiding, yeah.
Yeah, she would make eye contact. She was. I mean, we could go in and really pathologize it, and she would come in and she wouldn't look at me, and she would sit there, and we had about 4 or 5 sessions, and I could not get her to engage and look up at me. So what I did was, she would look down on the floor, and I got down on the floor. And then she would go lower, and so to the point where I was kind of like looking up at her, and it broke it. She burst into laughter. And
that you were willing to go to those quote-unquote depths to get to the core of the matter.
Exactly. And she burst into laughter, and she said, "You did it. You did it." And that was
nobody else had tried that before.
No,
anybody
no.
else, family, friends, other people maybe she saw for assistance, and
no.
Nobody else came up with that idea.
And then years later, we continued to do the work. She had some real heavy-duty trauma that had come into her life. She was sexually assaulted, and several things that would be logical why she wouldn't want to look at somebody's eyes.
Close
correct?
Down,
yes,
pull in.
Exactly. So then it was like she said, "I didn't know if you were going to pass the test." And I looked at her and I said, "What test?"
You were going to, yeah.
She said, "Well," she said, nobody went, as you said, the extra mile."
Nobody went the extra mile.
So that's kind of, and it's a cross section of that. It's people. I have a young gentleman who is thinking about changing career positions right now, and he's coming to me about what's going on out there in the world, and artificial intelligence coming in and taking over the jobs and tracking what's going on, like in his private life, what he's doing because it's being tracked. Cookies and employers are doing that.
Right.
So that's a whole other area that has just opened up.
And all different ages too. You're dealing with.
I deal with 18 and older.
Yeah.
I find that there's a real need because by the time you're 30, by the time you're 40, the issues that you really wanted to work on or should have been working on or needed have attention. Your past due at this point. It's
Right.
like the
Right.
the emotional baggage is now weighing you down, and so I concentrate on that frozen trauma, those frozen issues. That I haven't thought about that in years, Dr. Latz. Can you believe that? Or that will talk about something and then they'll start expressing their emotions that they never expressed before.
So do you have sometimes some resistance or fear?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
When we start working, I'll say, there's going to be times when there's going to be issues that are going to come up. I am your resource, please call. But a lot of times, I don't know what it is, the climate right now, they don't want to do that. But when I get close, I usually not when I'm taking my notes is that I probably won't hear from them, and I'll usually put a little time frame at the top of the page, and it'll say 3 weeks or 6 weeks, and sometimes it'll be when I get close, people will go away, and when they do come back, that's the first thing they said. I wasn't ready to look at it, but now that it was there and I've had some time to reflect on it, can we go back and look at that issue again? Or it surprised me. I thought I had dealt with it in a previous therapy, and obviously I didn't. So what did you do that was different? So then we'll talk about what I did that was different.
What is this thing called a biopsychosocial model, and how does that come into play with some of the work that you do? How do you define what that is? In my research and getting prepared for the interview, I realized that you have involvement in that. What is it, and how does it apply to the work you do?
Oh, well, Biopsychosocial has been around since 1977. It actually started in Rochester, New York, up there at the school in Rochester, School of Medicine. And what it is that everything that we have, that we feel physically in our body, has an emotional component to it. And everything that we feel emotionally or psychosocially or socially has a biomedical component. Butterflies in the stomach before you get ready to do an interview, that sort of things, you're having some sort of reaction. And what I try to, if it's a heavy trauma and we're dealing strictly emotional, the first thing I'll ask the person is, where do you feel it in your body? Where in your body are you feeling this discomfort? And they always say, well, no, it's emotional. Well, yes, it is. And then when we talk a little bit further, they will identify either one or two spots where, when they start on this subject, where they begin to feel it the most. And then we can go from there. And that goes back to the biopsychosocial. If you're feeling cold, most times you might be hungry, but a lot of times you just might be just lonesome. Okay? And so,
if you're feeling physically cold.
Yeah, if you're feeling physically cold, you might be lonesome.
There are differences between coaching and therapy, and how do you define, doctor, what those differences are?
Oh, okay. All right. Coaching is usually a specific issue that a person's coming in. I'm going to go on a job interview. Oh, I got the job and I'm going to have to move, and can you coach me with how do I let my former boss know, or I have to look for a new job. That's a specific issue. Therapy is something different. They're coming in, they know that something's not right. The resources that they had, their emotional resources, I'll just term it as that, their emotional resources that were working for them, and were working quite well. They're CEOs, they finished law school, but now all of a sudden everything is falling apart. The resources that they did to handle solving their problem is something different. And when you're coaching, you're not really getting into that part of it, because that's not what it is all about. You're going to go to just we'll help you get the job. We'll go through the interview questions and other things with coaching. There's so many people and they do it, but in therapy, it's something a little bit different. And usually, when that occurs, we know that it's not, maybe they don't really want this new job, It's they are changing geography, hoping that this emotional problem won't follow them there. But then it's just
right.
changing geography or changing a job, but it still follows. So being a therapist, I'm in a unique position because I can go back and forth between wearing those two hats.
Therapist and coach. So what separates you from what others do? What are some of the things, the approaches, the techniques that you do that you think maybe even your perspective that allows you to do the work you do in the unique way that you do it?
Everything with me is conversation. Because I think when you have conversation, that eye-to-eye contact, that the tone of your voice,
Very important.
the manner in which you sit, I think is part of what invites a person to engage more. The first time when I open the door, when the first person comes to the office and I open the door, the first thing they say is, "Oh, it's so inviting. Oh, it's so comfortable." And they just sink in and then they start, they just start. So I think that that's why I don't do a cookie cutter technique. Understand that the person that's coming to you is not the same as they were the first time they came. But also remember that you're not the same the first time you met them. So it's all what you can do for the individual. So know the individual, try, understand their worldview. And that's what I use in my therapy. So I'll take from everything, but I am what is called, my model is systemic. And so it's a systems theory. So it's like if I come in, you come in to me and talk to me, and I'm going to say, okay, Jim, you're going to get the new job. Yeah, I'm really excited about the new job. What makes you so excited about the new job? And we talk about that, and then all of a sudden it's like, I really don't want to sell my house.
Right.
And then
or your kids are in school and they love it.
Exactly, and then we'll talk about that. We'll talk about, okay, so is it what's there for you? You want to stay with this instead of with that, and there's no right or wrong answer with it, but it's more in allowing the person to then tell the story. But I'll enter in that way. One small change, okay, you don't want to do that? One small change, I'm entering in as your job and you don't want to sell your house. We work that out, it'll change the whole system.
Some of the types of issues that people come to you for that they're dealing with.
Oh, well, we can talk about trauma. Whether it's frozen grief, with the loss of your a loved one, loss of a family member, the shock of seeing someone die before your eyes, even the loss of your pet. I'll deal with that. People that are going through divorce or dissolution of marriage. The dream has fallen apart.
Yeah.
So how do you do with it? It's neither right nor wrong. The dream fell apart. So how do we make the transition? And what are the children going through? So I'll talk about that. People who have had heavy traumas of abuse, or
self-worth issues.
Self-worth issues. Self-worth issues are a big issue because we're not supposed to talk about ourselves. We're not supposed to think well of ourselves. Whoever made that rule? And that's one of the first things we'll talk about is, who made that rule? Where did you get that? Where did that come into your life?
So it's those them and they.
So, it's like those little things then, they get into the psyche.
Sure.
And they get into psyche, by the way, is soul.
Sure.
So it gets into, and it eats. And so it'll be anything that you want to bring. If I had a gold star for everybody that walked in the office and said, this is gonna sound really crazy, I'll say to them, no, tell me about it, tell me about it.
Exactly.
We'll talk about it.
And that trust is very important. Establishing the trust between you and the client and you, because when that trust is established and you're aware of it and they're aware of it, they can emote and they can share and then grow through that experience, right? Trust is very important.
Trust is a fundamental value just by being human. You know, our trust begins to grow when we're little. In our families, it begins to grow. It begins to grow. And when it's violated at whatever age or whatever level, it is hard, and it depends upon who violated the trust.
The societal pressures that are put on us by the speed of information, the overwhelming amount of information coming at all age groups, including kids too, who are trying to decipher it and understand it all. And then, of course, adding in societal pressures that come from the advent in recent years of social media, which has a lot of marketing and psychological aspects to how that is, algorithms and how that is all playing out. These are some newer things that people are really dealing with on a day-to-day basis across the board for all demographics, age groups, cultural backgrounds, and more. Have you seen an increase of people struggling with some of that, and anxiety, depression, confusion over all of, you know, how they're supposed to deal with that, and who am I with all of this going on?
Yes, I mean it seems to be snowballing to people that I would not have even thought would be picking up certain issues with it. There is a whole diagnosis now that's going on in the diagnostic manual where your politics. There is where people are actually, you know, so. An addiction is such a word that's batted around a lot, but they just can't disconnect from it.
Yeah.
There's also where the fear of being offline. There's the fear of that. There's the fear of losing your phone, your cell phone. Those are all diagnostic. We can diagnose them, and the biggest diagnostic, what I want to say, issue is stress. That in 2019, that's the highest DSM diagnosis a person can get, and that is the highest one that they're giving out now.
And these things are what
just,
are adding
stress,
to it.
And the stress, and then you can't even break them down because there's so many. The news, the stress, the fear of not having enough finances. I mean, in the United States, we have 7 generations that are living right now in the United States, and all have different needs and different wants and different desires. And how are they being met? Social media, okay, who's going on a date with you? Well, it's you. It's all of your social media that you're associated with, all of the person you're going with. So we've got, when did a date between 2 people include thousands?
Right.
And they're weighing in on it.
And the photos and liking. Is it a validation, seeking approval from the world because they're not getting it from other sources, including themselves, so they need validation, love of others, the masses, people we will never probably even come across?
You just hit on it. I think it's my view, but I think it's see me. Nobody's been seeing me. Nobody's been hearing me. We go back to the uniqueness of their people's story. You know, I'll hear you. I'll see you. I want to be seen. I want to be heard. I validate who I am. Do you really see me? So I've been working with a lot of different people with disconnect. Disconnect 15 minutes a day. You know, how many times have you been out to dinner and everybody's on their phone? Nobody's talking
Constantly.
To each other.
Constantly.
The art of conversation is going away. So you know, dock your phones. Well, we're not going to get off the phones. Well, yes, we need to. I think that the social media has caused what is called social envy and comparison. But also, I don't think anybody considers this, or maybe they have. Maybe this is a Dr. Latzism or Dr. Marthaism. That things that are being posted are already outdated.
Oh, yeah.
They're already outdated.
Yeah,
So
right.
it's you're not in instant time. You think you are, but you're not. Or, you know, you were really so happy about the 12 dozen red roses your boyfriend
For
sent you.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah. And then you get, what is he, cheap? I got 2 dozen. And then you get
Yeah.
somebody else to say, well, I got 3 dozen. And it's like,
It just devalues the
yeah.
dozen that you got.
So when does our social media tell us about our relationship? You may have a person that could only afford the 1 rose,
Right.
but has all the other qualities that you want, you know, trust and compassion.
It's not always quantity over quality, right?
Exactly, exactly. So it's like, so are we going to continue? And that's a conscious choice.
It really is. We can stop the madness.
We can stop the madness. It's hard, but we can stop the madness because what you'll get is priceless. I'll share this. I had a woman. I was doing a talk, a radio show on fear of missing out, and it was around the holidays, and she asked me to redo it, you know, to redo and, you know, what is the fear of missing out, you know, she always, and she then sent me an email saying, I'm so glad I re-listened to it. She says, as I was doing it, I realized how many things I missed out. I missed out my son's first words. I missed out when he took his first step. You know, the fear of missing out because I was constantly checking my phone in my social media.
Trying to create a world that isn't even necessarily real.
Exactly.
When you have a real world and people
going
right
on
there.
and then that little girl that was trying to
With
get
the mother.
the mother's attention. So it becomes a conscious. It's like you have to decide no more, or that, you know, I can limit this. I don't necessarily have to have this. And when people are having sleep problems, I'll say, okay, what have you got? What's electronically you got by your phone, by your bed?
Yeah.
It's their phone, it's their computer, it's their laptop, it's their tablet. They've got their TV in the room. And I said, you know, you're not ever getting to sleep. Everything goes off outside and not in the bedroom. Bedroom is where that's your sanctuary.
To get away from it all.
Exactly.
The solace, the
and
peace.
That's hard for people to lean away from.
One of the other things that you do too that I think is really important, it's a beautiful thing you do, is you apply people's pets to the work that you do. How are pets comforting to people in their daily lives, and how do you incorporate the pet into the work that you do?
Well, on the intake, when we do an intake, I ask them if they have pets. And they usually say they do or they don't. And then what type and whatever. And I'll get an idea of how, when they talk about their pet, you know, what level of connection they'll have with them. And then it's, we'll go back to the trust issue. Your pet, your dog, your cat. I mean, I've had other people that have had other pets, you know, but we'll just go to the common dog and cat. It's unconditional. You know, trust.
It really is.
Trust is there. That animal, that dog, your pet, trusts you completely. Trust you that you're going to come home, you're going to walk them, you're going to feed them, you're going to change their water, you're going to sit there, they're going to put their head in your lap, or whatever the connection. The same thing with a cat will do the same thing. So they are the keeper of our secrets. They understand our emotions. You know, how many times, you know, I've had people say to me, you know, they always know I've had a bad day. How do they know I had a bad day? Or if they've lost their pet, you know, it's very difficult on them. So our pets are they are the ones that rely on us, and so it's a trust bond. Yeah, so
It really is.
Yeah.
Going back to the trust,
Yeah.
which is so important.
Yeah.
I'm sure, you know, everybody has various mentors, people that have inspired them during the course of their career, maybe helped them along? Are there various people, maybe a couple people that stand out for you that were mentors that you pulled a lot from over the years?
A short answer to that is, as a kid, I was always fascinated with people. And I always looked at people that they always had something to teach me or show me, and that I would look for that. And that helped me a lot, because I would have unusual people that would come into my life, like when I needed it the most. I wanted to learn how to write well, and I had somebody that came into my life that taught me, how to be more creative in my writing, how to do my different writing. I've had other people that have been inspiring, but it's meeting you is an inspiration. Anybody that I have met, feel that we all are here to mentor each other. We're not an island. We're all here to mentor each other through this journey of life. Who are the women that gave me inspiration as a kid? And it was always the woman who was told that they couldn't do anything. And I remembered Katharine Hepburn. Okay, she was told that she would never be an actress, she would never work on stage, she would never be able to do it because of her voice, because her father was a physician, as I recall.
That's right. Yeah,
and she was one of the most famous, prolific actresses that we've had of her era. I think of Carol Burnett. She held on to her dream when it was impossible.
Absolutely.
And she held on to it when she was said no. So I think Oprah Winfrey is another one. And so and I'm thinking, and I'm trying really hard to think of some gentlemen, and I know that they're there. Gandhi popped into my head. If you have a passion, and you know what your passion is, and you know that the passion is for the greater good, even if the greater good for a lot of people is only one person at a time.
Yeah.
Do it.
Right.
You go for it.
Reflection is also really important. Taking time to stop, breathe, and reflect. And I know some people are not so good at reflecting, but it's really important because humans reflect all the time, right?
Yes, we're constantly reflecting. Whether did I say the right thing at dinner? Did I, should I have taken that red shirt instead of that green shirt? Or she can't take green. We're constantly reflecting.
We all do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's natural, but it's not as readily cultivated. It's like you think that you have to do it. I remember the first time I tried meditation, and I thought I was horrible at it until I realized that, first off, in order to meditate, it's a form of reflection, I had to pay attention to my body. My body was hot. My body was itchy. I didn't want to sit on the floor. I was thirsty.
Yeah, all of the things,
the lawnmower had gone on. The lawnman
You're
was
hearing
there.
that?
I'm hearing this. So it's
and
like
you want me to meditate?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you, crazy?
Exactly. And so I thought to myself, okay, so when
you're thinking of the external, yeah.
Yeah, you don't, but it's that one moment, and it only takes a few minutes.
So how were you able to block all that out, including the lawnmower, and get to that point?
I didn't block it out. I recognized it.
You did?
I recognized it as a connection with the larger universe.
And that allowed you to meditate?
Yeah, that allowed me, since I wasn't fighting, the more we try to disconnect with something, the more we connect with it. So the more I was trying to disconnect from all the noise, the more the noise came.
Yeah,
and then there was a knock on the door, and then the phone was ringing, and then and then the dog was barking, and then it went on, and then just recognizing, thank you that I have this mind, and I have the senses that I can pick up on that, and let's see what I can do. So, and it wasn't the quantity of time, and people, I think, get lost, that they think they have to do it for an hour,
right,
or 2 hours, or whatever. I started out with 2 minutes. Man, I thought I was doing great if I got 2 minutes in, but it's the consistency. It's not the quantity, it's the consistency. Being able to reflect, that was a good dinner last night. That really was a good dinner. You're reflecting on that. And you're reflecting on what you chose, but how it was prepared, who prepared it for you, but it's all in a not even a nanosecond. What is smaller than a nanosecond? I don't know what that is, but that's reflection. I think what people get confused with is mindfulness.
Right.
Are you mindful of what you're reflecting on?
Right.
And I think when you're mindful of what you're reflecting on, more and more comes to you, more and more answers come.
That's a very big word. I'd love to delve into that a little bit deeper for the audience. We're hearing so much about it and the importance of it. How do you define mindfulness, and then how do you work that into your practice and when you're working with your clients to have them recognize the importance of mindfulness?
Most people don't talk about mindfulness.
Right.
So what I'll talk about is, what is your goal? And if we're mindful, we're aware of sometimes things that are harsh need to be said, but it's also the attitude in which we do it. Mindfulness, I think, also goes hand in hand with a full apology, a sincere apology.
Right.
So a sincere apology and accepting a sincere apology is a three-pronged process. Jim, I am sorry. Okay, and I'd say, okay, yeah, don't worry about it, right? Don't worry about it. That's okay.
It's okay.
Sorry. No. But you're thinking, what is she sorry about? I'm thinking, I'm sorry about I stepped on your toe, and I really didn't say I was sorry, and I know I had hurt your toe. And you're thinking, oh, she's sorry about that she slammed the door. And that's kind of like a real simplistic thing, but it's incomplete. So you're thinking, oh, she's apologizing for slamming the door.
Right.
And I'm thinking, no, I'm apologizing for stepping on your
the
foot.
other thing.
Okay, so the issue is open, okay? And you say, you accept it. Well, what are you accepting? Stepping on your foot or stepping on, slamming the door. So a complete apology or a more sincere apology is, Jim, I am sorry for stepping on your foot the other night. I know that really hurt. What can I do to make that up for you? I know I scuffed your shoes, whatever I can do. What can I do to make it up for you? That's a complete, sincere apology.
Right.
Then you would say to me, okay, you stepped on my toes and you really did scuff the shoe, yeah, can you take them to the shoemaker for me so that I can get them professionally polished? Sure, not a problem. So that issue will not come back.
Because it always comes back to us, right? We can get all this information, all this advice, and all the helpful nature of it all, but when it comes down to brass tacks, to reality, we have to take responsibility for our own actions, thoughts, words,
and that's
life.
Hard. And that's hard for people. I mean, it's hard, okay? But I think that's something that we need to refresh ourselves over and over again. We are taught little how, to do that, but as we grow older, we kind of forget that. But is it something that we need to refresh? I think sometimes we do. I think sometimes, and having someone, and I think that's where therapy or a therapist is really important. Because having someone that is not in your family, that you're not going to sit down at Thanksgiving dinner and look across, but that you can,
is unbiased. So to have somebody like you, bringing it all back to you, have somebody who has all of his wisdom and perspective and experience and education, but can be unbiased, clean slate, unbiased when you're working with your clients. That's essential, right?
We all grow up in a family. We all work in a family. Our work people are our families, parts of our family. Our belief system, our churches are part of our family.
That's right.
We are all families. So the impossible, but that our minds, that mind-body connection is really powerful.
Important, which we talked about earlier, which was the mind, body, and soul all connected.
How you measure success as a therapist is when they come back to you and say, you know, you helped me with this one issue.
They give you an update, life update.
Yeah, they gave you enough update. I remember this one couple, you know, they called and said, we want to come back in, and you know, we want to have a wellness check. And I said, okay, we can do that. And I said, so what's prompting it? He said, well, you know, I'll name them Pete and Leslie. Pete, we think of ourselves as the slice of bread. He said, and we think of you as the peanut butter. And he said, and we need some peanut butter in our bread. We need some more peanut butter. And so that's kind of something that, you know, kind of as a chuckle, you know, you have with it.
Your practice is carefully tailored to making the therapy individualized. So you really like to make every effort to emphasize the entire person, right?
Yes.
And that's important to you.
Yes, it is.
Tell us about how you do that.
Well, you know, it's called joining them at their world, in their worldview. I may not hold the same worldview as they do, but their worldview is very important. And it also goes into honoring their life and their story of their life. Okay, so no, maybe I'm not one that's going to go out and sit out there and count grizzly bears. That's not me. But if it's them and they're excited about that,
brings them joy.
Yes, please. Or I'll read up on that. Oh, that's you know, you like that. Okay, and I'll do some kind of little research on what they like to do, if you know, if I have that information, and so we can talk about it, because it's not just about the problem or the issue. As I like to say, a problem or an issue is a solution waiting to happen, and so it's like, okay, how are we going to do it? And it, you know. So I'm going to uniquely join them in their worldview. If they're excitable family, you know, we'll talk about it. Okay, so who's the emotional part of it? Who's the emotional? Like this one family, I had 3 people in the family. It was mother and father and 2 sons. 3 of them were all extroverts. I mean, they were blah 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 blah. You know, they were coming in. I mean, you couldn't get an and the younger son, the other son, was sitting there, and I'm looking at the younger son, and he's not, and they're just over talking me, over talking each other. They just, you know, it was like trying to corral puppies, you know, in the room. And
you
so
needed a bullhorn.
Yeah, exactly. So I asked them, would you? I'd like to have some time with, I'm going to call him Sam. I'd like to have some time with Sam. So, you know, would you go out in the waiting room? And they said that they would. They closed the door. I looked at Sam and I went, he goes, yeah, right. And so we talked about it. And so what it was is that it wasn't that Sam didn't want to participate in the family. There was no room for him to participate in the family because they were all extroverts and he was an introvert. Not a painfully shy introvert. He was just an introvert. And so I asked Sam, what are we going to do about that? What do you want to do about that? You have thoughts about what they're saying? Yes. I said, okay. I said, if I get you the room, will you talk about it? And he said he would. So they all came back in, and they started the whole thing. And I said, wait, time out. You've all had your say. Sam would like to talk. And the room got quiet, and so it was like, and they were trying to solve a problem, and he had the solution. And I said, so when you think about it, when Sam gets the floor, he usually has the solution to something, doesn't he? Oh, yeah. So it changed the dynamic a little bit. Couldn't change them from being extroverts.
Sure.
They were all going to be extroverts. Were they all going to overtalk Sam? Yes. But maybe now they'll pause quicker, sooner rather than later when they talk to him. So.
That's a beautiful story. They all are beautiful stories of success. I know you also believe that in order for somebody to be able to acquire all that they're searching for, you really have to genuinely know yourself and who you are first, right?
Yeah. And I think that that's the scary thing. I think that we have been brought up in a society that doesn't recognize, no pun intended, our uniqueness, because we're always trying to fit in. But we all try to fit in.
Right.
And then one day
And we're not meant to be everything and do everything and look like everybody. And it's this uniqueness that we should embrace and allow to shine, right?
it's like, why am I trying to fit in? It's a lot of work, man.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm sorry, it is a lot of work. And when I can just be myself.
Be yourself.
And then
it's more effortless. Yeah.
And then I got
Authentic.
a hold of Walt Whitman, where it's the road less traveled, and I chose the road less traveled. And I thought, yep, okay, that's it.
There it is.
There it is. Let's not try to fit in. So in my way, when people come to me, I try to get them to embrace what is unique about themselves, what they like. If they can't think of a quality, I'll say, okay, what do you like about physically? We'll just go physically.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
I like my hair, or I like
Yeah.
my
My
eyes, or
right,
I like
yeah.
the way I smile, or whatever. And so, that's finding a way to go into and start exploring with them their specialness.
The other things that you do that I like is you also incorporate other things, such as if the person is very spiritual, you'll incorporate that. If they prefer maybe a more holistic approach, you'll incorporate that. You explore options such as even acupuncture and other holistic modalities pertinent to their needs, right?
Yes. Short answer is yes. What happens? What happens is, if I tell you to do something that you're not going to do, I learned that a long time ago. Oh, I'd like you to journal, Jen, and you're thinking, I don't want to journal. I don't like to journal. What is she talking about? I don't keep a diary. I don't want to do that. But you're not going to tell me that because,
Right.
You're
Don't want to disappoint you.
Oh, of course.
Don't want
And
to
then I'll
disappoint the
come in and I'll
doctor.
say, well, let me, did you have you have your journal? No. Oh, you don't like to journal? Why didn't you tell me?
Could have done something else, yeah.
Yeah. So what it is you ask the question. Okay, you ask the question, and if you listen and you ask the question at the right moment, and that means it's an open-ended question. It's not closed-end. It's like, what do you do to relax? Okay. Oh, how did you come up with that? To do that, whatever that is. Okay. When did that occur to you to do that? Sort of thing. Okay. Person comes in and talks to you about, I'm not going to take pills. I'm not going to say, well, you need to get a prescription and you need to do X, Y, or Z.
Right.
Okay. Or I don't know what to do, and I'll say, well, have you explored this? Meaning maybe I might say acupuncture, so they know exactly where the pressure point is if you're having insomnia. Or if you're
some of these
and it's not a pill, or it's not because they don't want to do that. So it's kind of paying attention to what they want, and if it's within reason and it's not self-harming them or anybody else, it's like let's explore that.
Let's explore what that is. It's amazing work that you do, Doctor, and I know this brings you such great joy to do this work. Tell us about maybe some of the ways that this is such a joyful experience, not just a career, but it's really something deep for you as the doctor.
I think for me, I go back and forth between thinking and feeling. I think that it took me a long time to know myself as a person. That I am no better or no less than everybody else. So if I'm no better and no less than anybody else, then that means that there's an adventure every day. There is somebody I am going to meet, if it's just a smile on the elevator. That tells me, I'm seen and I'm recognized.
You do that with all of your clients.
And I try to do that because if you do that, the joy is always there.
There are things that are sort of exciting things that you're working on and that you're putting together. I know you want to write a book and get out there and do speaking engagements, and you want to share these stories and share this inspiration, share this hope, and the ability for people to heal and appreciate oneself. These are some exciting things that you have coming down the pike. What else do you see for the future of Dr. Martha Latz and the incredible work you do?
Oh, I'd like to expand my platform. I'd like to be able to take my radio show, and I'd like to expand that. If it's just that person that the time zones are changing, but they're plugging in over in Europe or Australia or someplace else, and they're actually, I'm like the voice, or being able to, that real nagging little issue that everybody has, and you're not going to call somebody up at 3 o'clock in the morning, but she's on the air.
There's Dr. Latz.
Yeah, Dr. Latz is on the air. Dr. Martha's on the air, and so to do that, I'd like to be able to do that. I'd like to. I'd like to just be open to what the next step is.
What comes your way.
Yes, I want to be able to have that excitement, to be able to take it and go out of my comfort zone, because I've never done this with you.
Sure.
I'd like to do more interviews with you. I'd like to do more talking and what is
sharing.
This we're doing? They're sharing. Right. What are we sharing? We're
You're
sharing.
right. Yeah.
I'd like to be able to do that. I'd like to be able to, you're not alone, and it's in all walks of life. And I'm just me, me.
Sort of like a conduit, a facilitator. Yeah.
Something
in so many ways.
something to that effect. Or just let me be part of your team.
Exactly.
Let me be part of your team. I don't have to be part of your team forever.
Right.
Okay, let me be part of your team now. If you need, if it's not even a need, if it's a want. See, I think we get confused with wants and and needs and whatever.
Oftentimes, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
You're based in Florida, but you can work with clients all over the country and beyond. I tell you, Dr. Latz, you really are a ray of sunshine. And again, I knew that when we did the radio shows together, and we have more we're going to be doing. Thanks so very much for coming to our television studio here at CUTV News, and traveling this distance here to the Northeast, and really wanting to share your inspiration, your perspective, your wisdom, your hope, and your positive message with our audience. I think it's very touching. You're doing it for all the right reasons, which are right in here and in here. And you're doing what we love here at CUTV News, which is making the world a better place. Thanks so very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me and inviting me. I so appreciate this.
It was a pleasure. I had a real fabulous experience with you here this whole time, and I hope you did too.
Oh, I did. Jim, I did. Thank you again.
Perfect. Our jobs are done.
Our jobs are done.
For now.
Yeah, for now.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Thank you, Doctor. Now, if you'd like to learn more about Dr. Martha Latz and all the incredible work she does, all you have to do is go to her website, uniquetherapycenter.com. For all of us here at CUTV News, I'm Jim Masters. Thank you very much for joining us here for this episode of CUTV News with our wonderful guest, Dr. Martha Latz. We'll see you again soon. Bye for now.